Exercise 5C is very similar to exercise 5F, so I've combined them both together. And we're looking at relations and functions and what makes a function, but also function notation. When you read and write coordinates, which do you start first? Horizontal or the vertical values first? Well, if you remember when writing coordinates, we start with going with the x's and then the y's. Alphabetical order, x's and then y's. So we will go horizontal first, because it's x and then y. This little opening question will help us be able to identify particular kinds of functions. So a function is a type of relation. And if you've forgotten what relation was, a relation is just a name for a set of coordinates. Sometimes there could be an infinite number of coordinates. There might be just a few coordinates. Either way. So we've got a series of names here. We've got one-to-one function, many-to-one function, one-to-many relation, and a many-to-many relation. So I wonder how those names relate to that opening problem. Well, when we're describing graphs, we'll go with the x and then the y when we have the coordinate. Well, when we name the relations and functions, we'd have that same attitude. When it says something along the lines of many to many, this would be many x's to many y's, or one to many, this would be one x to many y's. What that means is that a one to many relation means that for every single x value, there are many y values. Let's have a look at some of these pictures as we need to go and check which one is which. So I've got a series of graphs here, and we need to identify which relation is which and which ones are functions. So let's go and have a look. These are all various versions of circle graphs. I've just chopped up a few. So let's go and have a look at this first one. Our circle graph here. If I was to just have a look at x equals 1 here, I notice that it has many y values. So it could be a one-to-many relation. But if I go across, I'll notice that this y value, or these two y values, there's one at the top here and one at the bottom, has another x value associated with it. So this one would actually be classified as a many-to-many relation. Let's have a look at the next one. We've got part of the curve here. For all parts of this particular curve, I can see here, for every x value, so 1, there's one y value, no matter how far you go. There's no overlap or anything like that. For every single x value that I have, and I go to the line, there's only going to be one y value. Therefore, this is a one-to-one function. What's the difference between a function and a relation? Well, we'll look at that in just a moment. Here's another graph. So let's go and have a look at this one here. So it seems that we've got, for every x value, it's got one y value, which is lovely, which is great. However, if I go across, that y value is shared by multiple x values. So let's go back to we've already done a one-to-one function. We've done a many-to-many relation. So our two choices are many-to-one and one-to-many. Well, we can see here there are many x values for that one y value. So therefore, this is a many to one function. So by that process of elimination, in this last graph, one x value gives us many y values. Then this one would have to be a one to many relation. What is a quick way to tell if a function is one to one or many to one? And by that same point, is there a quick way to tell the difference between a relation and a function? You'll notice there that just from the names themselves, all the functions have only one y value, and all the relations have many y values. In reality, a function is a subset of relations. In fact, every all functions are relations, but not all relations are functions. Functions are a special kind of relation where the x values have a unique y value. So that's what makes them particularly different. To tell which ones are which one y value, which one is a one to one and which one is a many to one, I can actually do it by simply drawing a picture. In particular, I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to introduce you to a thing called the vertical line test and the horizontal line test. A vertical line test is primarily used to determine if a graph is a relation or a function. The vertical line test works like this. If I draw a vertical line at any point in the graph and it only hits that graph once, then it's a function. There is one line there. I've just drawn in that many to many relation. You'll notice it's hit the graph in two places. Therefore, it's a relation. I've drawn a vertical line through that particular function. It's only hit it once. Draw a vertical line. Draw a vertical line, and it only hits that graph once. Draw a vertical line, and it hits that graph twice. So you can see here that we've been able to use the vertical line test to separate our relations from our functions. But can we do something similar to separate the one-to-one function from the many-to-one function? Well, we can do the horizontal line test. So the horizontal line test is essentially very, very similar to the vertical line test. The purpose of it is that if I was to draw a horizontal line, like so, in both of these instances, if it only hits the graph once, it's a one-to-one function. If it hits the graph more than once, it's a many-to-one function. So first we need to test to see if it's a function. Draw a vertical line at any point. I should stress here that it should work at any point of the line. I've only just drawn one for each of these, but it has to be at any point. So for example, you might have a graph that looks like this, and if you were to say, oh yeah, it only hits the graph once, must be a function. Well, no, that's a bit silly because it could go through here as well, and it would still be a relation. So because of that, that would be a relation.